Ambassador Hale stepped out of the transport ship onto the cold white floor of Zorkan Prime's Grand Hall. The alien guards stared at him with flat, unblinking eyes. He walked calmly, carrying Earth's message of peace. Behind him, a small team of diplomats and translators followed, all wearing the white and blue of the United Terran Alliance. Hale had been trained for this his whole life. He believed in peace. He believed in diplomacy. Believed that words could save worlds. Zorkan Prime was the capital of the Zorkan Empire, a proud and ancient race. They had conquered dozens of star systems. Their warships were fast and cruel, but they had never met humans, not until today. Hal bowed politely before the High Council of Zorkan. The aliens sat on high thrones, each one tall and dark there, long fingers curling on the arms of their seats. Hal spoke clearly. Earth comes with open hands. We wish for peace, trade, and friendship. The Zorkan Council listened in silence. Then they laughed. It was a cold, sharp laugh that echoed in the hall like breaking glass. One of them stood. "Weak species," he said. "Your hands are empty. You bring no power, no fear, only words." Stayed calm. Words are the start of peace. They offer science, knowledge, and cooperation. Together, we could do more than alone. But the Zorkan did not want peace. They had already decided. That night, as Hale rested in the embassy quarters, guards burst in. They dragged him out of bed, tore away his translator badge, and locked him in a dark cell. His team shouted, demanded to speak to someone, but they were ignored. No trial was held. No charges were read. The next morning, the Zorkan Empire broadcasted a single message across the stars. Let this be a warning. Earth sends spies in the name of peace. One has been dealt with. Others will follow. The message included a final image. Ambassador Hale on his knees, surrounded by armed guards. Then a flash of light, and nothing. The galaxy held its breath. Small races that had started talking to humans pulled away. Other empires laughed. So much for Terran peace, they said. One envoy gone, and they do nothing. Zorkan Empire felt proud. They had shown their strength. Earth was quiet. No response. No threats. Just silence. But deep in Earth's orbit, something moved. It was not a battleship. Not yet. It was called Retribution 9, a command ship black as space, and silent as death. Its launch was not shown on the news. Its crew did not speak to their families. They had been trained for this kind of mission, not for defense, not for peace. For punishment, the captain of Retribution 9 received only one order. Wait. Silence from Earth was not weakness. It was planning. Meanwhile, back in Zorkan space, the rulers celebrated. The council held feasts. They showed off Hale's badge as a trophy. They sent messages to other empires, warning them to stay away from Earth. They said humans were cowards who would never fight. They thought the message had been received. They were right. Earth had received the message. But what Earth heard was not a warning, it was war. 1 week after Hale's death, small listening posts near the edge of Zorkan space detected something strange. A faint signal. A fast-moving ship. It passed through the edge of their territory in complete silence. Weapons. No response to calls. No ID. The post sent a report. Then it went dark. Zorkan ships were sent to investigate. When they arrived, there was nothing. No post, no debris, no survivors. Just empty space. Panic began to spread inside the Zorkan command. They ordered all fleets on high alert, but they had no target, no enemy. The enemy was already inside, and Retribution 9 had only just begun. Earth had lost one man. The Zorkan Empire was about to lose everything. A small mining colony named Varric 7 floated quietly near the edge of Zorkan space. It was not important, just a rocky moon with deep tunnels and heavy machines. Workers lived simple lives, digging for metal and fuel, had no idea their colony would be the first to vanish. On the third night after the listening post went silent, Varric 7 sent a single strange message. The voice was full of fear. We see something. No ship signals. It's just here, watching. Then the message cut off. Zorkan Command didn't panic. They thought it was a mining accident or maybe pirates. Scout ship was sent to check. But when the scout arrived, Varric 7 was gone. The entire colony had disappeared, destroyed, erased. No buildings, no bodies, no metal, just flat, clean rock like nothing had ever been there. The scout crew searched for hours. No power signatures, no radiation, no heat. One of them whispered, "It's like someone wiped it away." Like it was. Never real. They returned to command, silent and shaken. Zorkon leaders were confused. They ordered more patrols. They told the public it was an asteroid impact. But fear had begun to grow quiet and heavy like fog. The next day, 3 more. Outer colonies went silent, one by one. No warnings, no alarms, just silence. And when ships were sent, they found the same thing. Empty ground, clean space, no sign of life. The Zorkan Empire, once proud and unshaken, began to fear what they couldn't see. Someone or something was out there. Ate the same. Time, deep in dark space, Retribution 9 moved like a shadow. Its crew said little. They had trained for this kind of mission for years. Their ship had no colors, no flags. It gave off no signal. Even its weapons were silent. It's not bombs, not lasers. It's quantum erasure, cannons, human technology that erased matter from existence, clean and complete. Not even dust remained. Captain Drex watched the map. He marked the next colony. "No warnings," he said. "They gave us none. We returned the favor." His crew nodded. One of the younger officers asked, "Why not hit the capital?" Drex looked at him. "We could, but not yet. They must feel it first, one by one, till their fear becomes louder than their pride." The galaxy started paying attention. News channels reported the disappearances. Some said black holes. Others blamed ancient weapons. But the smart ones began to whisper, "This is revenge. Earth is moving." The Zorkan Empire denied it. They still called humans weak, but their voice had changed. It was not as strong, not as loud. Then something worse happened. A major military base Startflow 3 stopped responding. It was well defended. It had 50 defense turrets and 2 full destroyers in orbit. But in one night, it went dark. When a response fleet arrived, they found floating pieces of metal. From human weapons, these pieces had edges too smooth, as if sliced from space itself. The star that once shone over Tarkal 3 was gone, not dim, gone. A dark hole sat in the sky where light should have been. The Zorkan Emperor ordered full war preparations. All ships were recalled. Civilian flights were canceled. The Empire sent a message to Earth. "Cease your coward attacks. Come face us openly if you have honor." Earth did not reply. In the Terran war room, far below Earth's surface, generals watched Zorkan broadcasts. They saw the fear in the aliens' eyes, and they waited. Because Earth knew the time for talk was over. Captain Drex watched his crew from the bridge. They were calm, trained, focused. "Next target?" he asked. "A shipyard near Varney's Belt. They build destroyers there," someone answered. He nodded. "Send the drones. No contact. Just silence." Retribution 9 launched a wave of black drones. Fast, invisible, and silent. Each one carried erasure weapons. They would not speak. They would not miss. Back in Zorkon space, alarms were now constant. Colonies lit up with fear. Even old allies of Zorkon began to pull away. No one wanted to be near them. Everyone remembered Hale's death. Now they wondered if it had been a mistake. Terrible mistake. But it was too late. The darkness had come, and Earth's silence was more terrifying than any war cry. Zorkon leaders had hoped to scare Earth, but instead they had awakened something they could not stop. The first sign wasn't a ship, was the stars. One by one, they disappeared from the edge of Zorkon space. At first, people thought it was a glitch in their scanners. But it wasn't. The stars were being blocked, not by clouds, not by black holes, but by something darker, something moving. The Black Armada had arrived. Hundreds of Terran ships, all coated in special black armor, moved as one. They didn't send messages. They didn't respond to scans. They were completely silent. Just like Retribution 9. But they were not here for hidden attacks. They came for war. Panic spread across Zorkon space faster than light. Planets that still had power tried to flee. Crowds stormed spaceports. Military leaders shouted orders that no one could follow. There was no time to plan, no time to run. The Terran fleet moved too fast. In orbit around the Zorkon border planet Varganine, the first real battle began. Zorkon forces sent 20 warships to stop the human fleet. The ships formed a wall, waiting to defend their space. Their captains stood ready. Some of them still believed Earth was bluffing. They were wrong. The Black Armada didn't slow down. It didn't even change course. Terran battleships moved straight toward the Zorkon line. Then, without a single word, Earth's weapons lit up the dark. Blue-white beams of pure energy cut through the blackness. Zorkan shields cracked in seconds. Their armor melted. One by one, their ships exploded, breaking apart like glass under fire. The battle lasted only 6 minutes. 6 minutes, and the entire Zorkon defense line was gone. On Varganine. People watched in horror from the surface. Some screamed, some dropped to their knees. Others simply stood still, too afraid to move. The sky was burning. The stars were being swallowed by human fire. Retribution 9 flew above the battlefield like a ghost. It didn't fire, it didn't need to. It was the signal, the reminder, shadow that always came first. Captain Drex watched. The reports come in. Enemy fleet destroyed, his officer said quietly. All targets erased, no survivors. Drex didn't celebrate. He only said, "Next system." Back on Earth, Admiral Kira Voss stood in the command center. She watched the live data feed from the Armada. Her face showed no emotion. "They wanted to test us," she said to the room. "Now they know. We don't send warnings anymore." In the Zorkan capital, the Emperor lost control. His advisors begged him to surrender. "They'll burn everything," one of them shouted. "We have to stop this." But the Emperor refused. He locked himself in the throne chamber, surrounded by guards, as if that would protect him. But nothing could, because Earth wasn't just destroying ships anymore. It was erasing history. Terran forces landed on smaller Zorkon worlds not to conquer them, but to shut them down. They disabled satellites, wiped data systems, and removed entire communication hubs. It was like they were cutting Zorkon out of the galaxy, piece by piece. Zorkon soldiers surrendered by the thousands. On some planets, they didn't even fight. They dropped their weapons the moment they saw Terran troops. One old commander said, "You don't fight the sky, you just wait for it to fall." News from across the galaxy poured in. Every race watched the fall of the Zorkon Empire. Former allies didn't help, old enemies didn't cheer. Everyone stayed quiet, hoping Earth wouldn't look at them next. Then something strange happened. On a small, peaceful moon named Relastor, the people saw a Terran ship land. It was not a warship. It was a medical transport. The humans brought food, water, medical supplies. The people were shocked. "Are you helping us?" one asked. A Terran officer answered with calm words, "You are not Zorkon. You are not our enemy." The message was clear. Earth didn't want chaos. It wanted justice. But justice wasn't done yet. Captain Drex opened the next mission file. The final stage was written in red. Capital strike. All forces. He didn't speak. He just stared at the name of the target. Zorkan Prime. The capital. At the heart of the Empire. It was time. The Black Armada turned toward the final star. And the end had begun. Zorkan Prime, once the shining jewel of the Empire, was now full of fear. Its cities were quiet. People no longer filled the skyports or walked the glass bridges. Many had already escaped, but millions remained, too poor, too loyal, or too afraid to run. Every building had a dark banner of the Emperor. His face stared, down from tall towers, still proud. But everyone knew the truth. The Emperor had lost control. High above the capital planet, the sky began to change. It started as a single dot, then a line. Then many black shapes, moving in silence like a swarm of shadows. The Black Armada had come. Hundreds of Terran warships formed a massive ring around Zorkan Prime. It was not an attack yet. It was a message. You are surrounded. Inside the royal palace. The Emperor stood at the top of the tower, staring into the sky. His generals begged him to flee. We still have an escape route. You must live for Zorkan. But he did not move. His face was pale, his hands trembled. I ruled. For power, he said, voice empty. They come for justice. I deserve it. In the command bunker deep underground, Zorkan officers tried to activate their planetary shields, but nothing happened. The system was dead. Terran drones had already shut down all defense systems days ago. No weapons worked. No ships could fly. The planet was trapped. Then the Terran message arrived. It was just one line. You took one life. We erase one empire. Then the sky opened. The Terran ships began to fire, but not on the people. Not on homes. Not on hospitals. Their weapons. Targeted military bases, fleet headquarters, and government centers. Each hit was clean, precise. Buildings were vaporized. Command towers collapsed into smoke. Spaceports cracked open like eggs. Zorkan forces tried to respond. A few old fighters launched from hidden bunkers, but they were destroyed within seconds. The black drones caught them mid-air, cutting them into dust before they reached the clouds. In just 1 hour, Zorkan Prime lost everything that made it a capital. No more army, no more fleet, no more pride. The Emperor watched the palace tremble as shockwaves hit. Statues broke, flags burned. His guards backed away, unsure what to do. He walked slowly to the Great Hall and sat alone on the throne, waiting Retribution-9. Entered low orbit. Captain Drex stood at the bridge, watching the final scans. The city was broken. Fires rose from shattered towers, but people were still alive. Civilians had not been harmed. That was the mission. We do not kill the innocent, Drex said to his crew. We only break the ones who thought they could kill and walk away. He gave the final order. Begin the last strike. At on. Drones flew toward the palace. No guards stopped them. No guns fired. The doors were already open. The Emperor sat alone, his crown at his feet. He didn't speak. The drones recorded everything. The image was broadcast across the galaxy. The man who killed the human envoy now sat defeated. The Emperor raised his hand once, then let it fall. No speech, no lies, just silence. Retribution-9 did not fire on the palace. It simply watched, then turned away. The Zorkan Empire was over. No one announced it. No one needed to. The flags fell by themselves.
Ow.
The military surrendered across all systems. Terran ships landed only to destroy war machines, then left. They took no planets, claimed no land. Earth didn't want to rule Zor, and they just wanted the galaxy to remember. Back on Earth, Admiral Voss stood before the Terran Council. Zorkan Prime is finished. Fleet is returning. No Terran lives lost. What Counselor asked? What now? The Admiral answered. Now they know who we are and what silence means. In the galaxy, reactions were mixed. Some empires stayed quiet, scared. Others sent messages to Earth respectful, careful, and full of praise. Even the old powers who once called humans weak, now called them Terran. Lords, people everywhere watched the footage, the Black Fleet, Emperor's fall. The single line that echoed louder than any gun, you took one life. We erase one empire. It became history. It became legend. And Zorkan Prime burned in. The memory of all who saw. The war was over, but the silence remained. The Black Armada left Zorkan Prime without taking a single planet. No Terran flag was raised. No Earth colony was built. Terran forces simply erased Zorkan's power and then vanished, like ghosts returning to the dark. Ships disappeared into hyperspace. Retribution-9 was the last to leave, circling the broken world one final time before fading into the stars. All across the galaxy, leaders gathered in quiet meetings. No one wanted to speak too loudly. Everyone was afraid Earth might still be listening. The fall of the Zorkon Empire had shocked every species, not just because Zorkon was strong, but because Earth had ended them so easily and without a single demand. No peace treaty, no surrender papers, no speeches, just justice, just silence. On Earth, life continued. The news barely covered the war. Most humans went to work, lived their lives, never knowing the full scale of what their fleets had done. In the shadows, the Terran Council met in silence. They reviewed the final reports from the Black Armada. Every system checked, every war base removed. Every high-ranking Zorkon leader either captured or gone. Admiral Kira Voss stood before the council one last time. "The mission is complete," she said. "Zorkan no longer exists as a threat. We return to watch and to wait." One counselor asked, "And if others try to challenge us?" Voss didn't hesitate. "They won't." In the outer systems, survivors of Zorkan rule began to speak out. Former Zorkan slave worlds were now free. Refugees returned to old homes. Ships that once flew the Zorkan flag repainted their hulls and erased their names. No one wanted to be connected to the dead. Empire, in a neutral sector known as the Thalos Line, a secret meeting took place. Representatives from 12 empires gathered inside a station built from glass and metal. They spoke in quiet voices, surrounded by guards. The topic was simple. Earth. "They are dangerous," one alien said. "Too powerful, too quiet," another replied. "They only attacked after being provoked. They don't want war." But a third stood up. "We must be careful. They do not fight like us. They erase. And worse, they say nothing." All 12 agreed on one thing: never challenge Earth again. Some empires even tried to send gifts, gold, crystals, even rare technology. Earth sent them back with the same message: "We are not here to rule. We are here to protect what is ours." That sentence became famous across space. It was printed on station walls, written in history books, shared among young cadets in military schools. The story of Zorkon was now more than a warning. It was a lesson. In a quiet mining station near the edge of the Terran Belt, an old alien trader sat with his grandson. They watched the sky, where the stars twinkled softly. "Grandfather," the boy asked, "is it true that one human was killed, and that's why Zorkon fell?" The old trader nodded. "Yes, they killed a man who came in peace. That was their mistake." The boy looked up. "And Earth did all that for one man." The grandfather whispered, "No, not just for him. It's for the message, so no one would ever try again." On one abandoned Zorkon world, black flowers had begun to grow. No one knew how they got there. Some believed Earth planted them. Others thought it was nature. No one knew how they got there. Some believed Earth planted them. Others thought it was nature. Years had passed since Zorkan Prime fell. But the story had not faded. In every corner of the galaxy, people still whispered the same words: "Do not touch Earth. Do not test their silence." What started with one human envoy, Ambassador Hylahad, ended with the fall of an empire. And no one had forgotten. The Zorkon name was gone. Their systems were silent, their records erased. Planets once proud now floated empty, or had new names. A few survivors lived in quiet exile, too scared to speak of their past. They knew Earth was watching, always watching. Not with cameras or spies, but with silence. In Terran space, life was calm. Earth's ships still moved among the stars, but now they were welcomed. Traders from other species bowed with respect. Diplomats spoke carefully. Even criminals avoided. Terran roots. Earth didn't need threats anymore. Silence was enough. In the Terran capital, a statue stood at the center of Peace Square. It was not a soldier. It was not a ship. It was a man in a long coat, standing with his hand raised. Ambassador Hale. His last words were carved at the base: "I come in peace." Children were taught the full story in schools. How Hale had died without violence. How Earth waited, planned, and answered without shouting. And how an entire empire vanished not from hate, but from justice. Retribution 9 was no longer active. The ship now floated in a secure orbit above Earth, its hull black as ever, but its weapons cold. It was a symbol now, a reminder of what? Humans had become and what they could become again, if forced. Captain Drex had retired. He lived in the mountains of Mars, far from the stars. People came to ask him questions, to write books or make films. He answered only one. Would you do it again? He looked at the sky and said, if they killed another man like Hale, I'd burn 10 empires. Meanwhile, new threats rose in other corners of the galaxy. Strange signals from unknown regions. Old weapons waking from lost wars. But none dared target Earth, because every admiral, every emperor, every warlord remembered what happened to Zorkon. The black ships, the silence, the stars that blinked. Out one by one, the Terran Council never bragged. They didn't build a new empire. They didn't ask for tribute. Instead, they created the Galactic Accorder rule shared by all species. No harm shall come to a peaceful envoy, ever. Everyone agreed. Not because of law, but because of fear. On one forgotten moon, a young alien diplomat arrived. To speak with a new human colony, he looked nervous. His hands shook. When he saw the Terran flag, he bowed deeply. A human officer smiled. Relax, she said. We're not like the stories. But the alien answered, I know. Why I'm afraid, the stories say? Humans only destroy when pushed too far. She nodded, said nothing. Because silence was Earth's new weapon, not missiles, not fleets. But the memory of what happened when one peaceful man died, and Earth chose not to scream, but to erase. And so the galaxy remained quiet, not because Earth ruled it, because Earth had once reminded everyone what happens when you kill peace. Across the galaxy, whispers began to grow. Something terrible was moving through space, and no one could stop it. Even those who didn't like humans started asking the same question. What did the Zorkan Empire do to wake this monster? But there was no answer, only fear. On neutral stations and trade hubs, captains spoke in low voices. Have you heard whole colonies gone? No fire? No bodies. Just gone. People started avoiding Zorkan space. Cargo ships rerouted. Travelers vanished. It was like a ghost had taken over the stars. On a remote listening post owned by the Travak Union, an operator picked up something strange. Soft sound. Like static, but underneath it, a human voice. He cleaned up the signal. The words were faint, broken, but clear enough. This is for Ambassador Hale. No more warnings. Silence. The operator's hands shook. He replayed it twice, then sent it to his commander. Within hours, the message spread. Pirates, diplomats, and merchants listened in horror. It wasn't a war declaration. It was colder. A promise of revenge, and it was already happening. At Zorkon High Command, panic began to grow behind closed doors. The Emperor held emergency meetings with his generals. Find the human ship. He shouted, Why can't we see it? Why can't we track it? But none of his admirals had answers. Retribution 9 left no trace. No signals, no heat. It was as if Earth had created a ghost ship. One general suggested an idea. Let us fake a peace offering. Pretend we want to talk. Maybe they'll respond. Maybe they'll stop. But the Emperor refused. Zorkon never kneels to weakness. He slammed his fist on the table. Double the fleets. Guard every system. Let them come. But Earth didn't come in a straight line. It came from shadows, from silence. That very night, 3 Zorkon warships exploded in deep space. No enemy was seen. The black drones had sliced through them like paper. Not even time to scream. Back on Earth, the Terran Council held a private session. No cameras, no news, just silence and decision. Admiral Kira Voss stood before them. We are not the same people we were 50 years ago. Humanity's no longer small, no longer divided. We have power, and now we use it. The council nodded. One diplomat asked, should we stop after Zorkon's fall? Admiral Voss looked at him. That depends. Will anyone else try what they did? In the outer colonies of the galaxy, people began raising white flags at the sight of Terran probes. Not to fight, but to surrender. Even empires who had once ignored Earth now sent quiet messages. We didn't agree with Zorkon. We had nothing to do with Hale's death. They feared being next. The Zorkan Empire, once proud and full of fire, began losing control. Their people were scared. Civilians filled spaceports trying to flee. Families demanded answers. Why is Earth doing this? The news anchors asked, but no one spoke the truth. The Emperor still refused to admit it was Earth. These are ancient weapons. Rogue AI, not humans, he claimed. But one man knew better. General Roguetal, once a strong voice of war, stood before the Zorkon War Council and said, "We killed a man who came in peace. We laughed at his offer, and now Earth sends no more words, only silence. This is not war. This is punishment." No one in the room answered him. In the stars, Retribution 9 approached its next target, Zentha Spire, a massive communications hub that connected 20 systems. It was the heart of Zorkon information. If it fell, the Empire would go blind. Captain Drex stood in silence as the target filled the view screen. His second-in-command asked, "Permission to strike?" Drex said only one word, "Proceed." Dozen erasure drones flew like black arrows through space. They entered the Spire's outer field undetected. Within seconds, key systems shut down. Screens went black. Lights died. One last message escaped the Spire before everything ended. "We see them. Human machines." They then silence. Zentha Spire was gone. Not damaged. Gone. The galaxy felt the shock like a punch to the chest. If Zorkon's greatest hub could vanish in seconds, then nowhere was safe. Smaller empires called emergency meetings. Some considered alliances with Earth. Others prepared to surrender before Earth even arrived. But Earth didn't ask for surrender. It asked for silence. The same silence Zorkan had shown when it killed Ambassador Hale. Now, with every vanished colony, with every erased ship, that silence was growing louder. And it was only the beginning. Zorkan's space was collapsing. Not from bombs, not from fleets, but from fear. Entire systems had gone dark. Controls didn't return. Messages were sent into the void, but no replies came back. The once powerful Zorkon Empire, rulers of hundreds of planets, now looked weak and helpless. Civilians fled the outer worlds. Military leaders argued in secret, and the Emperor, he sat on his golden throne, gripping the arms with shaking hands as silence closed in around him. Everyone now knew. Earth was behind it. The black ship, the vanishing colonies, the clean destruction. All of it. Retribution 9 had become a name of nightmares. Zorkon citizens whispered it like a curse. If you see the black shadow, run. In a desperate move, the Zorkon High Council finally broke its silence. A broadcast was sent across all known space. The Emperor himself appeared on screen. His voice was no longer proud. It was hollow, cold, and scared. "We regret the death of the Terran envoy. Mistakes were made. We wish for peace. We invite Earth to speak with us, face to face, without violence." But Earth didn't respond. Not a single word. No message, no reply. Just a lance. And then, the next day, the capital planet's sky turned black. Massive dark clouds began to swirl, though no weather system had caused it. Orbital satellites stopped working. Defense systems shut down. Zorkan High Command called it a system glitch. But the people knew better. The black ship had come. Retribution 9 didn't fire at the capital. Not yet. It only circled the planet once, slow and silent. The people below looked up, terrified. It left without a sound, disappearing back into the stars. But that one slow pass had sent a message. "We see you, and we are not done." Zorkon leaders panicked. They sent more messages to Earth, begged for talks. Offered tribute, offered ships, even offered entire planets to Earth as payment, but still nothing. Earth's silence was like a sharp blade at the throat. No loud threats, no angry speeches. Only quiet, controlled destruction. One system at a time. Captain Drex of Retribution 9 sat alone in his command chair. Eyes watched the mission log. Each completed target was marked with a red line. His crew worked in silence, trained not to ask why, only to act. But Drex remembered. He remembered Ambassador Hale. He had met him once. Hale had believed in peace more than anyone. Now he was gone, executed for trying to shake hands. Drex had one duty: make sure no one ever forgot what Zorkon had done. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Admiral Kira Voss stood before the Terran Council. "They are begging now," she said. "What do we do?" one counselor asked. "Should we show mercy?" Admiral Voss didn't even blink. Did they show Hale mercy? Did they offer peace after they killed him? The council fell silent. There would be no peace. It's not yet. In Zorkin space, another system went dark. This time it wasn't a colony or a station, it was a weapons facility. One of the Empire's largest. It was deep underground and heavily protected. But it disappeared in minutes. Every weapon, every guard, every wall gone. No alarms. No defense. The planet now had a hole where the base once was. The Zorkin Emperor fell into despair. He ordered all his ships to return home. "Protect the capital," he said. "Forget the outer systems. Save what we can." But the generals knew it was useless. Retribution 9 could be anywhere. It didn't need to fight battles. It just erased anything in its path. And then the worst thing happened. A recording leaked. Someone, maybe a spy, maybe a Terran drone, released a secret video from the day Hale was killed. It showed everything. The mock trial, the laughter, the fake charges. Hale's last words: "I come in peace. I speak for all Earth. We mean no harm." And then the execution. The galaxy watched in horror. Suddenly everyone understood. Earth's silence was not a threat, it was justice. Empires that once mocked humans now feared them. Even powerful races with long histories bowed their heads. Earth is not to be challenged, they said. They are no longer newcomers. They are judges. Zorkin tried one last time. They sent a high-ranking noble on a small ship to Earth. No weapons, no tricks, just one request. "We surrender. Please, stop." The ship never returned. No one knows if Earth destroyed it or simply ignored it. But what happened next made it clear. Earth had made its choice. The Terran fleet began to move. Retribution 9 had been only the beginning. Now the Black Armada was on its way. And Zorkin's stars were about to go dark forever.